Now, what kind of bitch-ass name is that?
Inside a Russian prison, a high-stakes underground fight is underway between undefeated champion Yuri Boyka and a fighter named Arkady Davik. Boyka's flawless record excites the prison crowd, many of whom place bets on his victory. These fights are secretly organized by the prison officials and Warden Markov, in collusion with a mob boss named Gaga, who all profit from the bets. Boyka ultimately defeats Davik and maintains his perfect win streak. Meanwhile, former boxing champion George Chambers arrives in Russia with his manager, Phil, to attend some boxing events. With his professional career in decline, Chambers now earns a living through endorsements and commercials. After finishing a commercial shoot, he returns to his room only to be ambushed by criminals who knock him unconscious. When the police later arrive, they find a packet of cocaine hidden in his Bible and arrest him. Chambers is promptly thrown into prison. Upon arriving at the prison, Chambers is immediately eyed with hostility by Boyka. Warden Markov introduces himself and tells Chambers that he respects fighters, adding that their prison has its own champion. Chambers, however, shows no interest in their internal affairs, believing he'll be released soon. Ordered to take a shower, Chambers initially refuses due to the freezing water. He attempts to resist the guards but is ultimately forced to comply. While being escorted to his cell, a prisoner throws urine at him as a so-called gift from Boyka, angering Chambers. He tries to retaliate, but the guards stop him. Chambers is assigned a cellmate, Stephen Parker, a British drug addict. The next morning, Stephen warns Chambers to follow the prison's unwritten rules, but Chambers brushes it off, thinking his stay will be brief. At lunch, other inmates stare at Chambers, but he ignores them. When Boyka and his crew enter the cafeteria, everyone stands in fear, except Chambers, who continues eating. One of Boyka's men tries to intimidate him, but Chambers quickly takes him down. This prompts Boyka to confront him, and a brief fight breaks out before the guards intervene. Later, Phil visits Chambers and says that the U.S. Embassy is working on his case, but it might take a month for his release. Frustrated, Chambers demands a top American lawyer. Phil promises to try his best but offers no guarantees. Meanwhile, Gaga bribes Markov to arrange a fight between Boyka and Chambers. It's revealed that Gaga orchestrated Chambers' arrest just to get him into the prison fighting circuit as a worthy opponent for Boyka. Soon, Stephen is harassed by Boyka's men. Chambers steps in to protect him, beating the aggressors. Stephen explains that the prison is controlled by Gaga's mob, and everything operates under strict rules. But Chambers, unbothered, says he deals with such people his own way. Boyka tries to confront Chambers again over the incident, but the guards stop them once more. That night, Chambers watches Boyka fight another opponent and is shocked by his brutal technique. After the fight, Boyka publicly challenges Chambers, who stays silent. Warden Markov later offers Chambers early release if he agrees to fight Boyka, but Chambers refuses. As punishment, Markov assigns him to clean the prison sewers. When Chambers resists, the guards threaten him. An elderly inmate in a wheelchair named Krot intervenes and helps him avoid the task. Stephen tells Chambers that Krot was once a Russian commando who killed a guard while trying to escape prison, resulting in a life sentence. Stephen suggests Chambers should accept Boyka's challenge to earn his freedom. Chambers declines again. Soon after, Boyka's men confront Stephen over missed drug deliveries and threaten Chambers, who fights them off with help from Krot. Despite defending himself, Chambers is blamed for the altercation and placed in solitary confinement in the sewers. Krot later visits Chambers with food and advises him to stop resisting the mob's demands if he wants to leave prison safely. Chambers is then taken to meet Gaga, who tells him he could have been released sooner if he had agreed to the fight. Gaga reveals that even Phil has been working with him for profit. Betrayed and humiliated, Chambers realizes he must now fight Boyka. Both fighters begin training intensely for their upcoming match. Boyka's men, meanwhile, coerce Stephen into helping them sabotage the fight. When the bout begins, Chambers holds his own through the first round despite Boyka's unique and fierce techniques. However, during the break, Steven gives Chambers drugged water, weakening him for the second round. With blurred vision and reduced strength, Chambers is knocked out by Boyka. After the match, Chambers learns from Krot that he was drugged and that Steven allowed it to happen. Chambers rushes back to the cell but finds that Steven has committed suicide, leaving behind a note of apology. Enraged, Chambers accuses Boyka of foul play, but Boyka denies any involvement. When Warden Markov tries to send Chambers back to his cell, Chambers snaps and beats him severely, leading to his punishment, being tied to a pole outside in the snow. After discovering his men drugged Chambers without his knowledge, a furious Boyka kills 2 of them for dishonoring him. Meanwhile, Phil visits Gaga again to ask about Chambers' release. Gaga gives him money to flee the country and forget about Chambers, but Phil is shot dead by one of Gaga's men moments later. As Chambers suffers in the freezing cold, fellow prisoners bring him food and clothing. When Markov demands to know who helped Chambers, the entire inmate population steps forward in solidarity. Markov retaliates by punishing all of them with exposure to the cold. Gaga, concerned that Chambers might die, rebukes Markov and demands Chambers be returned to his cell. He then apologizes to Chambers and admits he knew about the drugging. Gaga urges him to agree to a final rematch, promising freedom if he wins. Chambers consents, but only if all the prisoners receive warm clothes. Krot later thanks Chambers for the gesture and continues helping him train. One evening, Chambers asks about a photo of a young girl in Krot's room. Krot reveals she is his niece, whom he hasn't seen in 19 years. He explains that he was falsely imprisoned for a robbery committed by his brother. Though originally sentenced to 4 years, he attempted to escape and killed a guard in the process, resulting in life imprisonment and a leg injury that left him paralyzed. He reveals his real name as Nikolai and advises Chambers to leave without looking back if he wins. The rematch finally takes place, drawing massive bets. The fight is intense, with both men exchanging powerful moves. Chambers realizes Boyka is too strong to simply outlast, so he switches tactics, traps him in a joint lock, and ultimately breaks Boyka's leg, claiming victory and becoming the new champion. Chambers is released from prison, as promised. Gaga gives him a cut of the prize money and asks for a photo with him for his son. Chambers refuses, reminding Gaga of his betrayal and expressing his desire to leave. Before departing, Chambers gives his winnings to Markov to secure Krot's release. In the final scene, Chambers pushes Krot in his wheelchair to the train station, where Krot is finally reunited with his niece.